but we all had ways to know that it was false. And had we simply been using our rational capacities as opposed to our dug-in, kind of invested mentality, we would have on many occasions realized it was false. And the example he gave, which to me is one of the most convincing, although there are a lot of these, is when Robert Mueller indicted Roger Stone for lying to investigators. If you read that indictment, it's really amazing, because what it says is that what Roger Stone lied about to investigators was the nature of the communications he was having with the Trump campaign and the communications he was having with Wikileaks. And Robert Mueller got the text and the emails between the Trump campaign on the one hand and Roger Stone on the other. And all the way into September or October of 2016, so like not just weeks, but days before Wikileaks released the Podesta emails, the Trump campaign was saying to Roger Stone, hey, it seems like Julian Assange is saying he has some serious dirt on Hillary Clinton. Can you do anything to find out whether that's true and what he has? And as Michael Isikoff said, the minute Robert Mueller says that, that is the proof that like the Trump campaign was not a participant in this effort, because they had no idea what WikiLeaks had. If they were in bed with the Russians the whole time, they wouldn't have needed Roger Stone to try and desperately get to London and find out from Julian Assange whether or not he had any dirt. And the fact that none of us, or very few of us, stopped and said, wait a minute, this indictment shows that this narrative that we've been fed for the last 2 years is false. It negates and refutes the narrative. I think that's what I mean by hoax and scam, that there was no real effort to find the truth. There was this interest in hoping that the Mueller investigation would lead to Trump Jr. and Kushner and Trump being frog marched out of the White House in handcuffs. And that episode kind of encapsulates for me how I think we failed in our discourse.
Now, we should be clear that that Stone was not part of the campaign. So he sort of falls outside of the scope of what at least Barr has said, was being looked at in the context of this, conspiracy, and Stone maximizing with WikiLeaks when the best time to release these things would also not be criminal, unless there was some greater, I guess. The way that WikiLeaks got the emails, I mean, we don't know, but I guess to the extent that there would be any type of chain, it's broken between Stone and the campaign, as he's not a member of the campaign, and theoretically WikiLeaks and Russia. So I just want to make that clear to people. So now. But
just quickly on that, Sam, if I could just insert one important fact, which is, if like WikiLeaks has always said, both publicly and then even privately in private chats that got released, Roger Stone is an asshole and a liar. Roger Stone keeps claiming, because this is what Roger Stone has done in his whole career, right? Is he like makes himself more important than he really is. So he's going around claiming that he had special knowledge of what WikiLeaks had. The Mueller indictment shows pretty much that Roger Stone was almost entirely in the dark, that he was trying to find out what WikiLeaks had, but knew nothing. And in fact, when he tried to speculate, he got it wrong. He kept saying he thought that this was going to implicate Tony Podesta and that it was about the Clinton Foundation. And that's obviously not what it was about. So even Roger Stone was in the dark. He was trying to find out, like we all were.
We don't know everything that has happened in terms of with Stone, right? I mean, it's still conceivable that there's stuff to happen. So I don't know if that chapter is really is written yet. But up to this point, yes, that's correct.